Well, I didn't have much luck last year, that's 2016, with pigeon decoying, and I had been asked by quite a few people to show something of the setup I use when I'm decoying. So I had a look through the archives and came up with this footage. It's actually from August 2012, so it's been sitting about for quite a while. And you'll probably see that my hair is still growing quite long, and my BSA Superten hasn't been cut down and blueprinted by John Powkett yet. I probably was holding this footage back for the possibility of using it on a DVD at some time, but it was probably shelved and forgotten about once I had one or two better days that I'll maybe use in a DVD sometime. I did initially try to upload this in one piece, but with the broadband I have and it being 25 minutes long, it just wasn't working. So I have it in a part 1 and part 2, part 1 being more the technical side and setup, and part 2 being the shooting side. Anyway, while I was blithering away there, you may have been watching me in the footage clear a small area big enough to build my hide with a pair of garden secateurs. And I basically cut away anything that's going to stick me, scratch me or sting me. Then I set out my hide poles. I usually make the hide about 4 foot square, as the horizontal bars I use to help hang the hide netting off are 4 foot long. They're garden canes, or I think they're properly called garden stakes. The hide poles themselves aren't actually hide poles. These are washing up props that I converted into hide poles, and I'll probably put a link to the DIY video on how I done that at the end of the film. Now I'm building the hide into this bit of the hedge for no other particular reason than it's handy, and it was a nice tall overgrown bit of hedge which would make it easy for me to get the hide to blend into it and make it all look as if it's meant to be there. I set the 4 foot long garden stakes or canes on top of the hide poles in the little Y-shaped nooks to make a box shape. Then I used 2 6 foot long poles crisscrossed on top of this. This will help support the hide netting and give a roof. Then I hold this all together with some black insulating tape. I used to carry bits of string with me and tie this all down, but I found that it was too slow, and to tell you the truth, the insulating tape holds everything a lot more securely. One thing I've been asked more than once is whether or not I use some sort of shooting sticks inside the hide. Well, I actually don't use shooting sticks in this sort of hide. I usually shoot off of my knees in a sitting position. But one thing I've learnt to do is attach a horizontal stay between the front 2 hide poles, and then I can use this to rest the rifle on to give me a steadier aim on longer shots. I prefer to use 2 layers of hide netting. This first netting here I think is one of the Hunter's Specialties brand. It was a fairly lightweight material with die cut leaves in it, and it was quite handy stuff to work with. The second netting is one of the camo stealth nets with the black mesh on the inside, and as you'll see, it's quite a good match for the hedgerow behind it. I usually try and put the hide nets up the same way each time. That way I can reuse the holes I cut in the netting from the last time. Now, to help give me some sort of protection from the rain, I use a camouflage tarp which I set up over the top and hold in place with some little spring loaded clips. They're a wee bit like clothes pegs, though thankfully I didn't need it this day. So to help hold that down and take the shiny look off the waterproof tarp, I threw another camouflage net over the top of that. And just in case the breeze picks up, I pin the bottom of the camouflage net into the ground with some metal tent pegs. Then I start gathering weeds, long nettles, thistles, dead grass, sticky weed, wherever I can find near hand the hide. So long as I'm not making a hole in the hedge somewhere or cutting something the farmer might find valuable. Then I start stabbing this into the ground in front of the hide, if the ground is soft enough that is, and since this is Northern Ireland, it usually is. If the ground's too hard to stick the weeds into, I'll weave it into the camouflage netting itself. I usually try and get this all done while it's still sort of dark. That way I can get my hide built, my decoys out before the birds actually arrive. But I'm sure, as you can hear in the audio, the crows and the rooks are furiously flying around above me, and I'm still building my hide with not one decoy out yet. And to finish the roof off, I threw some dry grass onto the top of it. Now the colour just doesn't quite match the surrounding hedgerow, so I lift the pieces of briars that I cut when clearing the area and put them over the top, and this helps the whole thing match in. Yeah, I know some of you are saying that's a lot of effort for a hide. Well, I intend to spend most of the day here, and as well as the opportunity of getting a shot or two at a pigeon, I hopefully get an opportunity at a magpie or hooded crow, and they have very sharp eyesight, and you need a well constructed hide to get them to land within range of an air gun. So that's why I spend the effort in this, and hopefully you'll see with the footage that that was well worthwhile. Well, with the hide built, we'll get my gear stowed away inside and get the decoys set up. Now, people have asked me if I would show what sort of decoying techniques I use when I'm pigeon decoying. Now, I am no pigeon decoying expert by any means, and what I do use I've got from either reading magazines or watching pigeon shooting DVDs, and then I've applied that to the field and changed it about a wee bit here and there to see what works for me. Now, most of the DVDs and books are based around shotgun shooting, and the main difference between decoying for a shotgun and an air rifle is a shotgunner just needs the birds to fly within range of him for a shot, while with an air gunner you need to get the birds to physically either land in the field in front of you or in a nearby tree within range and sit there long enough for you to get an accurate shot at them. So in that respect, your decoys and your decoy pattern need to be pretty lifelike to work well with an air gun, and for that reason I use full body decoys with the flock coating on it, and I've even touched them up with a little paintwork myself over the years. A basic decoying pattern is to set the decoys out in a rough V or U shape, roughly pointed into the wind, as incoming birds like landing into the wind and should land in the hollow created by the V or the U shape at the back of the pattern. Now that hollow is your kill zone, and you want to position your decoy pattern in relation with the wind so that that hollow is a nice 20-25 yards right in front of your hide, so any incoming birds landing will be an easy shot for you. But as you can see by the mist in the background, there's next to no wind at all this morning. So I set the decoys out in a rough semicircular shape out around my hide, with a bit of a cluster of decoys on the right hand side of the pattern, as that part of the field had less weeds growing in it, so the stubble had been cut down lower, making it easier to get a shot at a bird if they land there. And hopefully the birds will land in the space between my hide and the decoys. That's the theory anyway. Well, that's the end of part 1. Hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to tune in for part 2, which covers the shooting side of things and whether or not the time spent building the hide is actually going to pay off for us or not.